Welcome to the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show. Coming up on today's show, we will be talking about a great perk at Disneyland going away, helping you save up to $550 on your vacation in 2026. Ultimate Norway cruises, free flights within Thailand, vacations in Hawaii, and all-inclusive vacations in Mexico and Europe. Let's start the show. The Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show, presented by BluePlanetVacations.com, contains travel deals, promotions, and offers that may be time-sensitive. All offers and information were accurate when the show aired. Travel deals and offers change constantly and are capacity-controlled and subject to change without notice.
Helping you plan your next vacation. This is the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show, presented by BluePlanetVacations.com, America's best travel advisors. Call us now, 801-649-3700, 801-649-3700, and check out the podcast at InsideTravelTalk.com. Here's Patrick Wiscombe and Mark Faldmo.
Serving humanity with the greatest vacation deals on the planet. You are listening to the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show. Alongside Mark Faldmo, my name is Patrick Wiscombe, and coming up on this edition of the show, we will be talking about Disneyland getting rid of early park entry for hotel guests. Honestly, a great perk if you stay at one of their hotels. It's going away. We'll give you the details. And if you are new to this radio show and podcast, our job is very simple. It is to help you plan and book your next vacation, or just give you ideas of where you may want to consider vacationing next. And we are presented by BluePlanetVacations.com, and thank you for taking the time to stop and listen. Mark, you are back from Tower Butte in Page, Arizona. You took the helicopter ride. We did the show live from the top of that butte last week. It is good to have you home.
It's good to be back. I'm so far backed up in work that it's taken me a few days to get all caught up.
Well, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah. That was such a fun vacation. I usually work, but there was so much to see. It was such a really good tour by Globus that I just didn't work. So now I've had to pay the price and catch up on all of that. So
that Globus tour that you were on, what was it called? Was it Canyons and I forgot what it was called.
The Canyon Country Adventure.
Okay.
That's the name of it.
Check that out. Call Mark about the Canyon Country Adventure. It was basically a slow vacation going to all of the national parks between Las Vegas and Phoenix. And
Correct.
He absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And especially the helicopter ride to the top of Tower Butte.
Yeah, that was a highlight.
Let's get right to the travel news headlines. It is bad news. Disneyland eliminating early park entry, one of the main benefits, in my opinion, for their hotel guests. I think that sometimes that skews towards people booking with them, and now they're taking it away.
So this is Disneyland in California. They're eliminating the 30-minute early admission park benefit for hotel guests, and this will start January 5th.
Okay, so after the new year, I could swear that it was an hour before at some point.
In Orlando, it's an hour.
Okay.
I think California Disneyland's always been 30 minutes.
Okay.
Or at least the last little while it's been 30 minutes. Instead, every hotel guest will get one lightning lane entry per resort stay. That is nice, but I don't think it makes up for that 30-minute early admission.
No.
Because if you're there for a few days, you could go in and get 2 attractions done every day between Disneyland and California Adventure. And now you just get one lightning lane pass, and it is still subject to availability. So you have to make those reservations, so you might not get what you want using that lightning lane.
If you can swing it financially, just get the upgraded tickets so you can jump the line everywhere. The lightning lane everywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
That's worth it.
That is. Yeah. We'll see how this goes. I hope they don't bring that out into the Florida parks. They're probably testing it. I've only stayed one time at Disney, and we went every day early, either to Disneyland or California Adventure. It was great.
Yeah,
So,
it is fun. It's too bad they're getting rid of it. Hawaii's first cross-reality bus tour. What is that about?
this is mainly designed for children and their parents, but it is actually on a bus, but you have goggles on. And so XR goggles. And so they've designed a whole presentation while on this bus tour that gets you immersed as you drive around Waikiki in Hawaiian culture, and really tries to bring Hawaii alive. There's things on volcanoes and sea turtles and just a lot of things that's in the Hawaiian culture there. So I'm going to Hawaii in about 6 weeks, and so I am actually going to do this to see exactly how this works. And it seems pretty interesting to me, although I don't know why you need to be on a moving bus if you're wearing XR goggles, but maybe they have you take them on and off and do some things, but it seems interesting to me. So,
by the way, this is not a commercial for Apple Vision Pro, but if you've ever tried one of those things, you talk about being lucky as a kid to start learning in a completely different way other than just looking at pictures and reading text in a book. Some of these immersive experiences are absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
Free flights within Thailand. Obviously, you have to get to Thailand, but I like the idea of flying free within the country.
I'm not sure how they're going to implement this because the time frame is so quick. But Thailand is seeing a slump in international arrivals by 6% the first few months of 2025. That's a pretty significant drop in tourist numbers. And so what they're trying to do is come up with this program that could start, they say, as early as August. This was just announced August 20th, but I don't know how. We're on the last day?
Yeah, today's August 30th.
Here, August 30th. And then it is supposed to be for flights between September and November, which is the low season. If you have proof of an international arrival ticket, they are going to pay domestic travel. So you can get to see some of the other places in Thailand. They haven't announced the logistics or how this is going to work, but if you want to go to Thailand fairly quickly, or if you're going to Thailand and want to see other areas, you can get up to Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, down to Phuket, any of those places on a free ticket. That is a pretty good deal.
You and I have talked about Mexico's magic towns, and apparently they're making it easier to get to said magic towns.
Yes, they are. They've kind of completed their phase one, which is just getting the magic towns and starting to get the notoriety of the magic towns. Now they're really starting to focus on the infrastructure and how to get tourists to those magic towns. Now there are 177 magic towns within Mexico. There are a lot of them within 2 hours of some of the main tourist areas. And so, for example, in Puerto Vallarta, they are really enhancing the road system to get to San Sebastian, which is up in the Sierra Madres. It's a lovely town. If I could go there every time I went to Puerto Vallarta, I would.
You do love it there.
I do. It's great. And there are a couple that we've talked about that are fairly close to Cancun, and they're, really enhancing how to get there. In fact, the Mayan train stops in a few of those places. And so you can either go there on a day trip or just go there and stay. I've never actually stayed in a magic town, but I think it would be fabulous, because it's just laid back and really authentic Mexican culture.
You've always said that about the magic towns.
Yeah.
Always in the opening segment, we have the travel deal of the week. And this week, we are helping our listeners save up to $550 on your vacation in 2026. What are the particulars on this offer?
Book your vacation by September 15th. Travel between January 1st and December 31st of 2026, and pay in full at the time of reservation. This is good to Hawaii, all-inclusive Mexico, good to vacations in Europe. It just has to be an air and a hotel package. It's kind of a tiered discount. It's based off of a percentage off of the total cost of the trip. And so if you can save $100, $200, or even up to the full $550, that's a pretty good deal.
Okay, and you have to book by when?
Book by September 15th.
And then complete travel between what days?
Yeah, January 1st, 2026 and December 31st.
Oh, okay. So you have the entire year then.
You have the entire year.
Oh, okay.
It's good worldwide, but most people are probably going to use this for Hawaii and then their all-inclusive Mexico vacations. I actually just booked someone to Europe using this, and they saved about $400 off of the cost of that. It's a great promotion if you know you're going to go and can pay for your whole vacation up front at the time of reservation.
Hawaii really doesn't have all-inclusive vacations, correct? Or they've tried it, and it really didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, they've tried it. I do believe there is still one hotel on the Big Island that does have an all-inclusive package. But it's been a tough go in Hawaii. Anyone who's tried it.
Anyone who goes to Mexico, generally speaking, those vacations are all-inclusive. Is there such a thing as all-inclusive in Europe? I wouldn't think so.
No, there's not. There's just the breakfast plan. I actually take that back because Hyatt inclusive hotels, they do have hotels over there where you can buy European plan, which is breakfast only, or you can buy an all-inclusive. Like in Corfu in Greece, there is a Secrets, or no, I'm sorry, it's a Dreams. There's a Dreams in Corfu in Greece, which does have an all-inclusive plan. So there are some hotels, especially like the beach areas in Spain, Greece, where you can buy an all-inclusive, but it is more on the rare side.
Take advantage of that. Save up to $550 on your vacation in 2026. You need to book by September 15th, so that is coming up in just a smidge over 2 weeks. And then that is good for travel between January 1st and December 31st, 2026. They need to fill up some rooms, so you might as well take advantage of the offers that they have. Call Mark in his office. Just get the conversation started. No obligation. 888-718-7717, 888-718-7717. And he'll also post this on blueplanetvacations.com, and there's also contact information there on the website. When we come back, it is time for the infamous Just Cruising segment, the segment of the show that has made us famous worldwide. We will be talking about Smithsonian Journeys returning to the Mississippi. We've got the cruise deal of the week with HX, Ultimate Norway, and the Nordic Navigator from Norway to Scotland. Do not miss this next segment. If you love cruising, this is the section of the show for you. That is next when the Inside Travel Talk podcast, a radio show, continues. Alongside Mark Faldmo, my name is Patrick Wiscombe. We will be right back.
Taking you to destinations around the world. The Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show is presented by BluePlanetVacations.com, America's best travel advisors. Call or text the show now. 801-649-3700. 801-649-3700. Thanks for listening. We'll be right back.
Inside Travel Talk is brought to you by AMA Waterways. From castles and capitals to vistas and villages, visit some of Europe's most remarkable sites and cities. To set out on your own river cruise journey, contact Blue Planet Vacations at 888-718-7717 or blueplanetvacations.com.
Now, back to the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show, presented by BluePlanetVacations.com, America's best travel advisors. Hit us up right now, 801-649-3700, 801-649-3700, and check out the podcast at InsideTravelTalk.com. Here's Patrick and Mark.
Ahoy, mateys. Ahoy. You are listening to the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show. I am Patrick Wiscombe. Mark Faldmo will be back in the studio here in just a moment. I had to go print some stuff off. Coming up in this segment of the show, we will be talking about the cruise deal of the week. This is the segment of the show for which we are most famous around the world and around the country. But first, let's get to the travel news headlines as Mark makes his way back into the studio. I saw this news story that Smithsonian Journeys, Mark, is returning to the mighty Mississippi. What details do we have on that?
They went there regularly until 2019. They've seen enough demand come back that they are taking a journey between Memphis and New Orleans. They don't own their own equipment when they do this. They are actually chartering a ship from American Cruise Lines, and this will be on one of the classic paddle wheelers. Smithsonian always gets some very good guest speakers and historians. So on this one, they're going to have a presidential historian that'll be the guest speaker that can talk a lot about the country's history there. They announced they've chartered a ship for 2027 on the Nile, which will view the solar eclipse. I think that would be very fascinating to be in Egypt for the solar eclipse. I don't know where they'll be in their journey, but I think that would be a very interesting destination.
We want you to be part of the show. So if you have travel-related questions, cruise questions, travel, whatever it is, text the studio right now, 801-649-3700. 801-649-3700 is how you get a hold of the show, both during the week and, of course, while we're on the air. We received a text from, who was this? Ross. I've heard you talk about expedition cruising on the show before. Can you help me understand what expedition cruising is? I think it's a good question.
I hadn't really thought of that from the listener's perspective. We just go talk about expedition cruising, and I don't think we've spent time defining what it is because it is a different way to cruise. Expedition cruises are cruises that are centered on exploration and immersive experiences. Typically, these cruises are on smaller purpose-built ships to go into some of these smaller ports or ports that have certain restrictions. They go to harder reach areas like Antarctica and the Arctic, Galapagos, the Amazon. They just go to really remote places in the world. They emphasize meaningful discovery through hands-on learning. They really help the guests explore the destinations with expert-led excursions and lectures rather than on a regular cruise. It's kind of passive sightseeing what you're doing.
That's a great way to say that. It's active learning.
Yeah. The thing I like, because there are a lot of restrictions on larger cruise ships, most of the expedition cruises are about 200 passengers or less, which enables the cruise line to have more flexible itineraries, more frequent ports. You can get closer to the wildlife and also with fellow travelers. And they prioritize education over entertainment, and they really want you to dive in to the destination.
Where do the expedition cruises go, and why would someone want to choose an expedition cruise over a typical tourist destination?
They really try and venture in to more remote, lesser visited areas. For instance, today I was just reading about an expedition cruise company. It's called Ponant, and they have the only Class 3 icebreaker or something. It's the only passenger vessel with that. And in 2027, they are actually having a voyage to the North Pole, where the ship will go and sit on the geographic North Pole.
There we go.
It's things like that expedition cruises do, but also things like the Northwest Passage. And then other places a little bit close to home, Baja California, sailing in the Sea of Cortez.
That's a great example. You never really hear about anyone going up the inside part of Baja. It's always the Pacific side.
Other places, expeditions would be Galapagos.
That's a good example, yeah.
Because there are lots of restrictions there. So it's really only these smaller expedition cruises that can go there. In the Amazon, an expedition cruise, even though some of the big cruise lines can go a good deal up the Amazon, go on an expedition cruise that will take you deeper into the Amazon.
Less entertainment, more education, getting more in touch with nature.
Interesting places. Interesting places.
What does a typical day look like on board one of these expeditions?
They're really destination driven. So if you're at sea, your lectures on your next port. When you're in port, a lot of these places don't have piers. And so you're taking Zodiac, small inflatable boats, taking you ashore. A lot of these cruises offer wildlife viewing, hiking, kayaking, snorkeling, or guided cultural excursions. In the evening, rather than your Broadway production show, they often have presentations, recap of where you've been, a preview of where you're going to really help you have that immersive experience that they're trying to get you in. They also have photo classes, how to take the best wildlife pictures. They have onboard experts that really help to enhance your vacation. Some expedition ships are luxury, some are not so luxury, but they're all comfortable and they're used kind of as your mobile base camp. You can relax when on board. It's gourmet meals, reading areas, saunas.
There we go.
Igloos, different things like that. And a lot of them include all of that. They're not additional. One of the cruise lines that I really like for expedition cruising is HX. I think 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, we talked about Hurtigruten. They used to be the same company. Hurtigruten does Norwegian coastal voyages, and then they started an expedition cruise line. They're one of my favorites.
Let's get to the cruise deal of the week, which is HX. And what's the promotion we have for listeners this week?
Right now, they have free suite upgrades, or you can choose up to 35% off of cabins. A lot of people, if they do know about expedition cruising, they think they're very expensive, and they can get expensive. But with this 35% off, it makes it more affordable. And I actually found 2 expedition cruises on Hurtigruten that are under $4,000 a person.
That is a deal.
And so that's bringing it more in line like what you'd pay for a suite on a big ocean liner.
Yep.
This first cruise that I'm looking at, it's called Ultimate Norway. It's Arctic Expedition under the Northern Lights. So this is Norway in the wintertime. This particular sailing that I looked at is January 24th. It's an 8-day sailing, and it starts at $37.87 per person.
That is very reasonable.
So for under $4,000 a person, it really spends its full time in the Arctic Circle. So you fly to Tromsø in Norway, which is above the Arctic Circle, and then you have 8 days cruising around northern Norway.
Oh, how fun. Anything else that you want to throw in here?
Yeah, there is one more cruise, and this one is called the Nordic Navigator from Norway to Scotland. And this one's even a better deal. It starts at $34.51 per person, and it is an 11-day cruise. This is actually, since it's a repositioning cruise, the same rule for expedition cruising as regular cruising. Those kind of repositioning cruises usually are a better price. This cruise, it starts in the Tromsø and then just sails down that west coast of Norway and then goes over to Lurik in the Shetland Islands, goes to Kirkwall, which is there at the northern part of Scotland, and then sails around and ends in Glasgow. And this one is the end of March, so it's a March 28th sailing next year. Well, the one thing I like about Hurtigruten is pretty much everything on board is included. Your regular meals, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Drinks are included at mealtime. And then you get a complimentary refillable water bottle. You get a polar expedition jacket, a backpack, and then another kind of HX expedition kit that you get. I'm not sure what's in that. Complimentary Wi-Fi, use of the sauna, hot tubs, fitness rooms on board. All the gratuities are included, although if you get good service, you can leave an extra gratuity.
Yeah. And those stateroom attendants, they earn it.
The last thing that I think is great is you have included unique excursion experiences. There may be some that are additional cost, but they do include some of those experiences.
Take advantage of that offer. Take advantage of all of them. Just call Mark in his office, get the conversation started. No obligation. 888-718-7717. 888-718-7717. That is the cruise deal of the week. We've actually got 3 of them. Make the call. Like I said, no obligation, but at least explore it. You won't regret it. You can listen to this award-nominated show again tomorrow morning, Sunday at 11 a.m., right here on the very radio station that you're listening to right now. And you can stream, download, and subscribe to the podcast at InsideTravelTalk.com. We are on all of the major podcast platforms, and you can get links to all of those platforms on InsideTravelTalk.com. Well, now it's your turn to get out and explore the world while you can, because you never know what curveballs life is going to throw at you. Live your life deliberately, live your life intentionally. And thanks for listening. We don't have a business without you. We don't have a radio show or podcast without you. Thank you for allowing us to be part of your weekend. Have a terrific week. We'll talk to you next Saturday and Sunday.
That's it. That's the end of the show. You've been listening to the Inside Travel Talk podcast and radio show with Patrick Wiscombe and Mark Faldmo, presented by BluePlanetVacations.com. Book your adventure right now. Call 888-718-7717. That's 888-718-7717. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.
Inside Travel Talk is brought to you by Travelex Insurance Services. Their travel insurance plans can help protect you and your vacation. Travelex is known for their award-winning customer service and high claims paid rate. Contact Blue Planet Vacations at 888-718-7717 or blueplanetvacations.com for more information.